Good morning, everyone, and welcome to CalVCB's second Advocate Portal webinar and listening session. Before we get started, please know that this webinar is being recorded and closed captioning is available. My name is Jennifer Rocco. I'm the Deputy Executive Officer who oversees the Victim Compensation Division. I know that we're very excited to engage with all of you today and to talk more about the Advocate Portal. During the webinar, all of the attendees are muted and we'll ask that you remain muted. We'll use the chat feature to receive questions and feedback from you. So we have two goals for today's session. First, we wanted to respond to some feedback and questions that we received both during and after our last advocate session. If you are unable to attend that session, the recording is available online on our website. Second goal is to hear more from you about your recent experience with the portal, and we'll do that via a listening session. Before we get started, I just wanted to continue to acknowledge that the transition to using the Advocate Portal has been challenging. While CARES access cannot be restored to advocates, we have been working to improve your experience and are committed to continuing those efforts in the future. Today, we're going to share some of the things that you can expect to see, which are a result of our collaboration from our first session. Before we get started, I'll review the agenda. So we're doing our welcome now. The next portion of our session will be the webinar session. We're going to go through some friendly reminders with myself and Rachel. We'll also talk about some new resources with Peter. And then finally, some future enhancements that we're considering. We'll also hold a listening session, and then there'll be some closing remarks. All right. So let's kick off our webinar session. During the webinar session, we'll not be responding to live questions, but we do ask that you place those questions in the chat so that we can review them and respond later. So let's start with some friendly reminders. The first one is about account creation. We want to make sure that you first work with your organization's administrator to set up an account or for any account issues. If your organization has not set up an account, please reach out to us and we can set one up for you. I'll drop those instructions in the chat in just a moment. Our second friendly reminder is for account administrators. Please make sure that you review your office's users regularly. Administrators are responsible for keeping accounts current and making sure that the correct individuals have access. In just a moment, we'll share a new resource for administrators to help with these tasks. Finally, we have one question that keeps coming up among our advocate users. That is, why can't I find an application? So Rachel is going to take a moment to review the search functionality with you.
Okay, so thank you, Jennifer. 1 second. Let me share my screen. All right, can everybody see the application search feature? Thank you. All right, so the search is I would say tight, but the reason for that is the security of our victims. We want to make sure that you guys are finding the right applications and not getting a bunch of records that are unnecessary or would be possibly a safety risk to identification information or PII. So in looking at this, when you're inside the portal, this is just an example application. So a temporary ID, this one's in process. It's just a draft. It has not been submitted. But when I go to search, I'm going to go to the search feature in the top navigation bar. And I'm going to click on that. And then that will take me to the search page. So first, before we dive into what that looks like real quick, when I do search, let's look at how we can search. So first and foremost, we have 3 separate options for searching, and there's a little bit of nuance within those. The first one is by the victim claimant applicant, not victim claimant, the applicant information. And the reason that we do that is the applicant information drives the application in CalVCB Online. They're the person that is responsible for the application. They're the person that can sign the application. And so even if they are submitting an application for another individual, whether it's their elderly parent that they are the conservator for, whether it's their minor child, whatever it may be, or just themselves. It is all driven initially by their information because they have to have the account in CalVCB Online. So in this case, you will have to search by first name, last name, date of birth, and then one of the following information, whether it's the username or their email address. Again, this is for their security as much as it is making sure you're finding the right person. So that's the first one, and we're going to take a look at what that looks like when you search for that in just a sec. But then the other two options, the first is, excuse me, the second is the application ID or temporary ID. You saw that I had a application in process on the home page. And so that does not have an actual application ID that our CARES internal system would have created. It currently just has a temporary ID. So if there is an application that is in process, that's what you would be searching by. But if you do have the application ID number, then by all means, throw that in here, search by that. That's very helpful and will get you exactly who you're looking for. And then the final way to search is by your office, essentially. So in this case, it's by an advocate username, or there's some other options, and we'll look at that in a second, including unassigned applications, okay? And that one gives you a date range in which to search by as well. So when we do search by the individual's information, so I'll go ahead and put my applicant information in here that I was working with, we'll say. I put in their username, they were able to give me that. And then I went ahead and searched. And this is the result that comes up. It brings up that applicant and any application that is attached to them. So here we have one that is a temporary ID, but if there were other applications that had been submitted under this account, then it would have brought me up those results as well, all at the same time. And you can see here, it has the claimant name. So if they were filing for their minor child, you would see that. It has the date of crime, type of crime, advocate assignment. So you can see here is Sacramento County DA's office, and then the advocate that is assigned to it and the representative. And so those could be two separate individuals. And what happens in those cases is if we initially got the application with a specific advocate attached to it, then that advocate's information would have been entered into CARES. But if for some reason it got unassigned or assigned to someone else in CalVCB Online in the advocate portal, then the ADV under advocate assignment would possibly be a different person. So there are cases where that can happen. Say that original person went off on leave or is no longer with the office or whatever, that would still be the information that had been initially in CARES. And then, of course, there's the account information. So in this case, you see their username there and their email address would be underneath. Okay. So those search results remain the same, those different columns that you have, but the way we search them. So again, in this one, now I'm going to search by a application ID. So I'm going to go in here and search by application ID. And this time it brings me back an actual application. So in this case, we'll say the application was fully submitted. The moment it is fully submitted, after about a few seconds, an application ID generates it within CalVCB Online. So you'll be able to see that now in your represented. If you are fully representing the application, you'll see that in your applications back on that home page, and they will have an application ID attached to it. All right. And then the last one is by your office. So in this case, when you select the drop down, it will bring back everyone within your office that has an advocate account. So any of the supervisors, any of the advocates, they will all be listed out here. And then there's also this option for unassigned. So say I know an application was filed, but at the time we weren't fully representing it or whatever may happen, but it did get assigned to our office, but it's not currently assigned to one of the advocates. You can go ahead and you can click unassigned. It helps to do a date range in this case to minimize the number of results you'll get back, because sometimes there could be a fair amount of unassigned advocates because the office is selected in CARES, but say the information was entered manually and not selected an actual advocate PIN number, things like that. There's lots of different reasons it can pop that way. But if you search by the unassigned, you can actually bring back a lot of applications to go through and find the ones you're looking for, hopefully. So date range is helpful to minimize that search. So we're going to search by that. In this case, it brought back 203 applications, and then you can go through the pages to see who you're looking for. And there's actually a little search here within the results as well. So if there's a specific name you're looking for, things like that, you can start putting it in there, and hopefully it would limit your searches as well. I mean, your search results. Okay. And then finally, just FYI, if you've tried everything and say maybe you're off by a number or so, like this obviously is not an application number with all those zeros, and you search by it, if there truly is nothing, oh, my little button moved, then you will get actually a message that says no results found for the given search criteria. So if there isn't any information in the criteria you set in that links to it, then you will actually get a message confirmation saying, unfortunately, there's nothing there. So, all right. Sorry if that was a little fast, but I wanted to make sure you guys had all of the options for the search. And I will give that back to Jennifer.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. Appreciate the overview. And for those of you, again, who were unable to attend the first session, Rachel did do a little bit of a deeper dive and went into some additional functionality. So definitely encourage you to visit our website and watch that first webinar if you're looking for a little more detail. For the next part of our session, we want to talk about resources. So we're going to highlight some existing resources and also show you some new ones. So Peter is going to share his screen with you. And what we should be able to see is the resource tabs from the online portal. So the video that Peter is going to share with you is actually a new video that we created as a result of our last session. So this is a video that briefly goes over the administrative functions. So hopefully you will find that helpful. And then Peter, go ahead and play that for the group. Thank you.
Hello, welcome. The purpose of today's short video about the CalVCB Advocate Portal is to highlight the features available in the user administration page. The user administration page, menu option and page is accessible only for users who have an Advocate admin role. I have logged into one of our test environment as a simulated office and as one of the admin, and I am now in the user administration page. It has features to reset the password of an existing user. You can also see the different details about the user, the email, username, last login, password expiration date, when was the PIN assigned, and also you can see the PIN. Other features available on this page is to add a new user. And when you add a new user, you can choose whether the new user you are adding is an admin or an advocate for the user. The system generates a PIN for the new user to be created, and you can add some recent text also. Other feature is you can unlock a user if the user has logged out after several tries of the wrong password. You can reactivate a user or deactivate a user. You can grant admin rights to an existing user or revoke an admin rights to an existing user. We strongly recommend that the admins periodically review this page and ensure that all the users of your office are actively working, and deactivate and only have appropriate roles. As always, there are more helpful user documentation available at the help docs page, and this short video will also be added here. Thank you.
Thank you for playing that video for us, Peter. So if we navigate back to the resource tabs, I wanted to show you a new resource that's available after our last session. One of the things that advocates asked for were if you guys could see some of our letter templates. And so what you'll see here is now a list of template letters that we've made available to you in the portal. So Peter's just going to pick one of these letters to show you an example of what they look like. And so this letter if you were to receive questions from a victim or a claimant, this would give you an idea of the letter that they received. If you scroll down to the bottom of the letter, there is a letter name, but you could also have them, read the first paragraph, or if you're talking to them over the phone, they could explain to you what it is that they're reading, and then you would be able to use the resource tab to find that letter. Hopefully this will be helpful to you. As I said, this was something that several folks had requested, so I hope that you find that to be useful to you. Next, Peter, if you can just navigate back to the resource tab for us. I just wanted to highlight all of the resources that are available on this page. So you'll see that there's guidance for advocates. We have a great user guide that's very helpful when it comes to navigating the portal. There's also a guide for user account setup, and we also have some frequently asked questions available for you. In addition to that, there are quite a few video resources. We've just played one of those for you today, but I definitely encourage you to take the time to review these resources, because they are extremely helpful. And if you find that you need a new resource, if there's another video that we could provide, or if there's letter templates that you feel are missing that you'd like us to add, please use the feedback button on the top of the portal screen to send us a note and let us know what your suggestions are. Peter's pointing to that right there. We'd love to hear from you if we can provide additional resources to support you in your work. All right. Thank you, Peter. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about are some future enhancements that we're considering for the for OLA, or the online portal. So there were questions and feedback from our last session that showed us that we needed to review the portal and think about some potential changes. So there were several items that the team is actively reviewing for a future release. One of those is providing the permission to assign and unassign applications to all users instead of just our administrators. The second issue is regarding the close button. So during our last webinar, we provided some information about the close button, but we heard loud and clear that that was not working, or that was not available to you. So after we did some deeper digging and reviewing, we realized that that close button was not functioning properly. So we are looking to fix that button so that it can be a useful tool for you in your offices. The third item that we're considering is looking at the issues that folks expressed about entering derivative apps and not knowing whose application you were entering on. So we're considering some improved visibility there to help in that regard. And then the last thing that came up were some requests for us to align OLA more towards our paper application. And so that's going to take a deeper review to consider what we can do to make the online portal align more to that paper application. But as the team is able to complete their review, we are going to prioritize any enhancements for a future release, and we'll make sure that we communicate with you so that you're aware of the changes and provide any training that's needed. Likely we would hold another one of these webinars to review that functionality with you and provide an overview for you. So that kind of wraps up the webinar portion of our session. And next we'll move on to our moderated question and answer. There are 2 questions that we received prior to the webinar that I wanted to cover, and then we can dive into the chat as well. So one question we had was regarding setting up an account for your organization, and this was specific to tribal organizations, and the request was if the process could be streamlined at all for those groups. Now, unfortunately, the process that we have established is the one that all organizations will need to follow. We did drop that information in the chat if you are looking to request access for your organization, but we do ask that you send that email into us with the required information so that we can set up your account. And we also put a link to the winter 2025 newsletter that has additional information around that process. Another question that was received prior to the webinar was regarding when filling out an application for a minor, do we submit an app for the parent first and then attach the application number with the minor so it can be linked? And the answer to that question is yes. You can enter the applications in any order and link them to one another. Best practice would likely be to enter the parent first and then attach the minor's application to it, but you can enter them in any order and link them to one another. All right, so I see a few things in the chat here. There is a question about, as an authorized representative, why can we not just see the actual letter mailed to the claimant? It seems more efficient. So again, for confidentiality reasons, and also because we cannot provide access to cares where those letters are stored, you would not be able to see the letter in the portal. The claimant can share the letter with you, or you can call into our office as an authorized representative, and we can go over that letter with you as well. Are there any other questions? What if the parent or guardian does not want to file an application, or nor were they a direct victim? On the advocate portal, is it necessary to file for the parent first and then the minor child victim? So if the victim is a minor child, we do need to have the parent doesn't have to claim benefits, but we do need to have someone authorized to file on the minor's behalf. So they would be the ones signing the application. Are there any other questions?
We have.
What are the key benefits to the advocate portal? So yeah, I mean, I can highlight some of those, and I'm going to encourage my partners on the webinar to jump in here as well. So there are a lot of benefits to using the advocate portal. So one is you have instant access to the application number once the application is filed. You do get access where you can go in and see the status of the application as well, which is beneficial. You don't have to call us or wait for the claimant. You can log in and see that information. Some of the other benefits that advocates have shared with us is that it's quicker processing. So you don't have to fax the information to our office. You can just key the application in and it's processed within our system. Again, the ease of accessibility to information. Also, if you use the advocate portal, you are able to upload documents to a claim, which is better than having to fax that information in, or perhaps the claimant doesn't have access to do that, so you can upload documents for them. And just generally, it's easier to use than faxing information in or mailing it to us. What other questions do we have? Why are funeral burial documents not available for download and completion from the portal? So is this referring to forms, which Kathy, if you want. So all of the forms are available on our website, and then you can fill them out and upload them to the application. Are we able to see legacy filings? I'm not sure what legacy filings means, but Thomas, how far back do the applications go in OLA if they're sorting or searching how old, or how far back will it give results?
We have application data accessible from CalVCB online only for applications on or after 1/1/2013, received on or after 1/1/2013.
So you would be able to see applications going back to that date.
Yes.
I think that was Rebecca's question. Sorry, if this has already been covered. What if a claimant has already applied before, but now has a new crime with a new suspect? How do you file an app for the new crime? I think you just file a new application. I don't, you can go through the same process you would with any other brand new victim that comes to your office. So you would complete a new application, you would get a new application number, and then that's how you would process that new request. So regarding letters, copies to advocates would be so helpful. I have several MVA victims that contact me years after the crime regarding their claims. They were minors at the time, etc. We're in the dark without copies of correspondence to the victims. So again, while we can't provide you with the letters, if you do have questions regarding any of the correspondence that a claimant has reviewed, you are welcome to call in and review that with our customer care. Next, I think this is a follow-up question from Erin regarding if they have a victim who's has a new crime and a new suspect. Maybe Thomas, you can help out with this. Says it won't let me file a new application because it says the victim already has a user ID.
When you search for an application, in such case, you need to find the application or the applicant's user account by entering the email address or the username, and then use that link to create the application for that online account for the applicant. So I think it is a nuance of these of the search functionality that before you to create an application for an applicant who already has a user account in CalVCB online, maybe we'll make a user guide or short screencast about how to do this and upload to the resources page.
Yeah, we'll definitely work on that resource for everyone and add it to the tab that we shared earlier. Are there plans for the portal to give us access to the status of an appeal? I don't know if that's something that we've thought about, but we can definitely consider that as we're looking for additional opportunities to improve the portal for everyone. I have one question over here. It says, there is a video showing users how to link multiple applications to one account in a training video for two separate or unrelated adults of the same crime that doesn't work well. On the paper application on the top right corner, there was an area for associated application ID. Is there a way for this function to be on the advocate portal that would pre-populate or attach reports already uploaded on the associated ID? That would save advocates a ton of time. Thomas, any thoughts or insight on that?
Not at this moment, but I need some time to think.
All right, we'll circle back to that one. But I am making some notes here as well for ideas for things we could consider to improve the portal.
Jennifer, can I ask a quick follow-up on that one?
Absolutely, Rachel, go ahead.
So you're looking to associate the applications, but what is it? I guess the question is, why are they not seeing them associated? Because if it's the same applicant, then like mother and child, they should always be associated by the applicant's information. So if you are searching for that applicant in the system, they should all be coming up at the same time. So if there's another way that you're trying to associate them, whether it's crime with adult victims or things like that, then that might be the question. But it'd just be wanting to understand, what is it that you're not seeing that's causing an issue?
Maybe we'll get something in the chat. It says there is a follow-up. When the victim is a minor, there will be a claim number for the parent and then one for the child, correct? Yes. And then are we still linking the applications together for the parent and the minor?
Always, yeah.
Always. All right. So I see a new question here. Can we search by advocate for an advocate who is no longer working for our agency? I'm getting calls from now adults who are victims of a motor vehicle accident. The advocate at the time has not worked here in about 5 years. So you would do the same search, correct? If you have use the same search functionality that Rachel went over just a bit ago to locate that application.
And also, if they are an advocate who had an CalVCB online account, then you could search by them within the system, or you could search unassigned if they are no longer active. And it should hopefully bring up the applications that were assigned to them. Also, when I showed you the search results, there was the column that said representative. That might be what it is that you're getting questions because that representative information still reflects that old advocate. So if you look in the search results by representative, you should be able to find those applications as well.
Yeah, and I do see, Brooke, thank you for clarifying MVA mass victimization. I think I said motor vehicle accident. I apologize. Thank you for that. There is another question that my team's reminding me of. It says, can undocumented individuals apply? And the answer to that question is yes. And then there's a question, how does an advocate close the application under application in process? And we currently don't have an option to close an application. That's one of the enhancements or future changes that we are considering is how, if granting advocates the ability to close an application, which is a bigger discussion. But as I said, as we work through those issues and develop a plan going forward, we will definitely share that information out with you. There's another question. If I have an administrator account and I reassign myself as authorized representative on an existing application, do I still need to have the victim sign a form authorizing me to represent them? And the answer to that is yes. We have to have a representative form on file for you. Let me see if we have more questions. Let me look in the chat. Here's one. What happens if I only made an application with the minor's info? I did not receive the proper training until a few days ago. Will the app get denied? Not necessarily. We may follow up with you to request some additional information or provide some direction to you. You can also reach out to our office as well if there's information that you need to add to the application, but we would be in communication with you to see what information we would need before denying that application. So there's also a question, will the board pay mental health services for a victim if they are now receiving care for an application that occurred or was approved in 2013? And the answer to that question is yes, if there are benefits and sessions remaining and that treatment is crime related, we would still continue to reimburse. Our benefits are a lifelong benefit. So provided that those services are crime related, there's still funds available on the claim. And we would still continue to pay those. So here's another one. It says there's an issue having two or more adult victims of the same crime on the same report when doing the application on the advocate portal, entering the same crime data over and over again and uploading the same documents. Submitting on a paper application would just change the victims' names. And yes, as I discussed earlier, this is an area where we're looking to see if we can improve functionality within the portal to help eliminate the time that you're having to spend entering and uploading more than once. So we are working on that, and we hope to be able to share some information out with you very soon. I'm just scrolling to see. I think that there's also a Q&A that I can't see, and so my team is helping me retrieve those questions that we can answer them. But I do encourage you, if you have more questions, please also feel free to put them in the chat. I'll read them aloud for us, and then we can respond to them. So there is another question. This may be a repeat, but can you explain the difference between authorized agent and advocate when we submit the application? So I'm not sure about authorized agent, if that's a field that's on our application. But that could be someone like an attorney that is going to represent you through your claim. But an advocate is an advocate as defined by statute, someone who's assisting victims with the various benefits, including the processing of hours. I think Rachel has her hand up.
So I just wanted to say, on our application, we refer to it as an authorized representative. And yes, that can include our attorneys. It can include another person, whether it's a member of their family or friend that's assisting them with the process, or someone from a community-based organization. And then advocate for CalVCB refers to usually those within the DA's office, but now that we're opening the advocate portal up to our CBO organizations as well, it will also refer to those advocates that are registered via the advocate portal. So in that sense, it has a little bit more, it's a little more different as far as what the paper PDF, I shouldn't say paper, but the PDF application was referring to. But essentially, if the authorized representative section is filled out, you are acting on behalf of that applicant as a representative. And that's the same within the advocate portal. When you begin an application, you're given the option, represent this application or assist only. And so if you do assist only, once it's signed and out and done, you will no longer have access to that application. You can search for it if something changes and they wish you to be the actual representative. But when you first start that application, if you select represent this application, then you will be the authorized representative for that application. Hope that helps.
Thank you, Rachel. That is incredibly helpful. I think that answered a couple of the next questions. The new one that I see here in the chat: what do you suggest an applicant does when filing an application and the applicant cannot remember or know the name of the person or organization, and a pop-up shows on the screen and says to please click the submit button to add a person's name or organization's information, or it will be lost on save? What do you suggest in this situation if the application cannot be submitted online? I'm filling out an application now. Sarah, I don't know if you're able to clarify your question as far as not knowing the name of the person or organization. Are you speaking about their representative information? Maybe you could put some more details in the chat to clarify for us. Scrolling back to some questions from the Q&A. Is it true that we need to submit a birth certificate with minor applications? So hopefully someone from the team can jump in and answer that. And then there's a question about if a minor can use their relocation benefit when they are an adult. And so I would ask that you call in so that we can respond to that question for you. Those are kind of case-by-case questions that we wouldn't want to respond to here. There's a question. I'm working with the domestic violence victim where the accused defendant caused a total of $1,300 or more in property damage, an iPhone, a Apple Watch, and a key fob. Would CalVCB be able to assist if victims have replaced these items with their own cash? And the answer to that question is no. CalVCB is unable to reimburse for property damage, so we would not be able to assist with those specific expenses, but there may be others that we could reimburse for that claimant. There's also a question, how do you file for foster youth or an unaccompanied minor? So if we're going to research that question and we'll get a response in the chat for you. There was also a question about the birth certificates, and it's not required on all minor applications, but there are times that we will request it from you. So again, case by case basis. There's also a question if this webinar will be available online, and yes, it will be available online. We are recording the webinar today, and it'll be available on our website. And as I referenced before, the first webinar is also available for you if you want to go and watch that. Can a claim be accessed or viewed through the portal if uploaded and processed by claims verification unit? Perhaps someone can clarify what the claims verification unit is. And then there's a question from Alicia about, is there a list of the eligible crime codes an advocate can access? Alicia, are you asking about what crimes CalVCB can cover for an application? Yeah, that's actually available on our website. So maybe someone or I can work on finding a link and I'll drop it in the chat for you. You're welcome. I'm just looking back to make sure we're answering all of these questions, and I think we are caught up.
So jumping back to
Go ahead,
the
Rachel.
unaccompanied minor or the foster youth, children within the foster system, they will have a social worker, and they are actually the applicant. A foster parent can be a derivative of the application, but they cannot file on behalf of the foster youth. It has to be the social worker. They're the actual applicant for that application. An unaccompanied minor, it really depends on the situation. If they're fully emancipated, or there are situations in which they can request like emergency services, emergency mental health, things like that. So in those cases, if it is a question, I would recommend contacting customer service and asking for what kind of documentation you would need in order to apply for them. The emancipated minor would actually be their own applicant, but there may be some nuances that we'll have to work out if that's what you're dealing with. So in those cases, I would probably guide you to reach out, and so we can best serve you and getting their application in the system and through.
Agreed.
Hope that helps.
Yeah. How can we update the application to include income loss if the application was submitted and approved?
They can just call and request. We'll need additional information like their employer information, but it can just be a phone call to customer service, or if the applicant is using CalVCB Online, they can send in the messaging to request it as well. But again, we'll have forms for them to fill out.
Fantastic. And then Sarah, you'd like to send an email because it's a bit confusing to explain. So I'll have one of the team is going to drop an email address in the chat for you so that you can email your question, but you can send it to info@victims.ca.gov. There you go. Thank you, Nadia. There's also a question. So as the assigned advocate and having another advocate help me on submitting the claim on my behalf with my PIN number, the other advocate will select assisting only, correct? I think if that person is only helping you to enter the application, I don't know that they could mark assisting only, but I don't know that that would be required if they're just helping you key in the information and upload documents. There's a question about if claimants can submit pay stubs in lieu of a tax return for wage loss, and answer to that is currently the statute requires that we obtain tax information for a claimant. Just to confirm, on the advocate portal, a parent does not have to apply for CalVCB first in order to apply for their child. They can solely submit an application for their minor child who was the direct victim of a crime. And that is a yes. Yes. Thank you for confirming that. What is the best way to correct demographic information on an approved application? So things like if the name was misspelled or the date of birth. And I think the best way to do that would be to reach out to our office so that we can assist you with updating that information. There's also, there's still a question regarding if a claim can be accessed if uploaded and processed by the claims verification unit. And the claims verification unit is the processing unit for the representative's processing office. So for the JP office. So the question is, can the claim be viewed if it was uploaded by the JP office? And again, you would have to use the search functionality. But if the claim is not assigned to your office, I don't know that they would be able to see it. Would they, Rachel? Maybe.
Yes, if you have the actual application number, it will come up in the search results, but it will show the assigned to a different office.
Okay. So you'll be able to see it, but only an administrator can assign or unassign applications, correct? Thomas, or I think so.
Yes, it is the administrator from the office where it is currently assigned has to unassign it, and
then
it has to be updated in case what is the correct office, and 2 hours later it will be reflected on the portal as the correct office, and then the correct office admin can assign to the correct advocate.
yeah, so you would be able to search for it, but the other office would need to handle any reassignment if that needed to occur. Any new questions in the chat? I don't see any new questions in the chat. Can a victim apply for CalVCB if they had a criminal record? Does the criminal record need to be expunged? And I believe the answer to that is that they can apply, and we would review the claim accordingly.
Anyone can apply at this time. The only time some sort of criminal background might impact them is if they're currently on some sort of violent felony probation or incarceration, and then that would impact what we're eligible to pay. But
Right.
you can apply at any time.
Absolutely. And again, we look at that on a case-by-case basis. So we will, we would review and reach out with additional information. So it looks like the questions are slowing down. Can maybe do a last call for any additional questions. Also, please feel free to reach out to us. Nadia put an email address in the chat, or you can reach out to us with questions. If you have specific feedback about the portal, you can also use the feedback button that we highlighted for you. So I will, I don't see any more questions coming in. So I will go ahead and wrap us up for today. So I just want to thank everyone for participating in the webinar today. We're going to follow up with you if there are any items that were placed on a parking lot or that we didn't get a chance to cover. We're going to look at all of the items that we heard today, in addition to some of the potential system enhancements that we're already considering. And then we'll circle back with you with additional information. So for those of you that don't already have a portal account, I hope that you'll take a moment to reach out to us to get that process started. And then if you already have one, I hope you'll take some time to take a look at some of these new resources that we've provided, because we do have a lot of help docs and things on our website that are a great resource for you. Again, please use the feedback button, and we will be providing more information on upcoming meetings as we plan to hold additional webinars throughout the year. Finally, I do want to plug our upcoming webinar, Resources for Sexual Assault Victims, on April 22nd. You can sign up via our website to attend that. And I think that is all for today. So we will follow up again. I do think a couple of questions might have come in while I was wrapping up, but we will definitely review those and make sure that we provide out answers to all of you. So again, thank you for attending today, and please reach out to us if you have questions. Thank you.